this is Janice. I am the founder of Not a Diet, and today I want to share with you how to incorporate good nutrition into whatever lifestyle you may choose. Now, to begin with, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my story. So about 5-6 years ago, I had just graduated from my master's degree and got myself a pretty good corporate job in London. I was extremely exhausted beyond belief. Right, this was so foreign to me because previously in my student lifestyle, I had never felt this kind of exhaustion despite the late nights and all the fun we had. I even asked my family if this was what getting old felt like at the age of 24. So when I got into health and fitness, particularly with the nutritional side of things, I realized that despite I was never outwardly unhealthy, right? I was never classified as overweight. I didn't look overweight, and I didn't have any other health conditions. I was actually really unhealthy on the inside, largely due to my pretty sedentary lifestyle and also the way I was eating. I was skinny on the outside, but things like my body fat percentage was high, and I was constantly tired, aches and pains everywhere, and I was just not fully functioning as a 24-year-old. Today, I am still a 9-to-5 technology consultant in the financial services industry with an extremely busy lifestyle, but I also coach people like me who want to be healthy, but don't necessarily want the restrictive diets or extreme workouts. Because let's put it simply, whatever lifestyle you choose, life is more than what you eat and what you do in the gym. So in today's session, I want to help you get started on your wellness journey, whatever stage you're in, and figure out how the nutritional piece can fit into whatever lifestyle you choose. So grab some pen and paper and let's go. So before we even get into what good nutrition looks like, I want you guys to first think about what good health looks like to you. And that's because I never did that at the beginning of my own journey. And the reason I started Not a Diet and really emphasized on not using restrictive diets or extreme workouts was because those are all the things that I did to myself at the beginning of my health journey because I did not define my health ideal. Now, imagine opening your Google Maps on your phone and not putting a destination in there. It's not going to give you instructions, and you could end up walking miles and miles, going nowhere, or even just standing still where you started because you have no idea where you're going. Back a few years, right, before I identified my own health ideal state, I was chasing the impossible. I was chasing someone else's reality on Instagram. I wanted to look like those fitness models with impossibly toned abs, a really nice behind, super tan skin, when in fact what I probably needed was just better photoshopping skills or a lot of spray tan or a professional makeup artist or just a lot more years and time spent in the gym. I was only seeing a snapshot of what somebody else wanted to look like, and I decided that's what I wanted. That resulted in me having an extremely restricted diet. I was eating maybe 8 to 10 types of food only for a long time. And I was working out way too hard at the gym, right? Which led to a certain look, which didn't make me happy. So ultimately, I did not reach my health goal because I worked very hard for about 8 months, got myself to a certain state, which actually wasn't what I wanted. This is why I really want you guys to think about what good health looks like to you. And on your piece of paper, I want you to write down 3 to 5 things of what good health means to you. This could be something super tangible like being able to run 10K, or it could be something less tangible like being able to spend time with your grandchildren or your children. Now, while you think about your 3 to 5 health goals, I want to tell you a story about one of my clients which might inspire you. So Lucy came to me, she was one of my first few clients, and a lot of people might actually think, why the hell is Lucy coming to a nutritional coach? Lucy was already extremely fit, she ran at least a marathon a month. She had a goal of running 30 before she turned 30. And her personal best was already about 3.5 hours, which is amazing. But that was not the only thing that Lucy wanted, right? When she came to me because she found that she was always tired, right? It sounds familiar. She also has a corporate lifestyle. She was always tired. She traveled a lot. And she was constantly snacking in between meals and had a very unhealthy love affair with her soy lattes. So while to some people, being able to even complete a marathon might be out of this world, completely impossible. Even to me, that's a big feat to achieve. To Lucy, what she wanted was better energy management, and she wanted to perform even better with her marathon. So we decided to sit down, have a talk about, defining her health goals, understanding what restraints her lifestyle had, what it allowed, what's reasonable and practical for her lifestyle. And ultimately, we designed a way of eating for her that really supported her very active lifestyle outside of work, but also helped her maintain her energy throughout the day while she was at work. Now, within 6 weeks, Lucy had completely stopped the snacking between her meals. She would only enjoy the occasional soy latte as a treat, not as a must. And she even managed to cut down her marathon time by a whole 20 minutes in 6 weeks. Now, I've prepared a short guided meditation for you so that you can spend a few minutes really reaching deep down and thinking about what good health could look like for you.
Minimize distractions by silencing your phone and letting others know you need silence and privacy for a period of time. Find a comfortable upright seat with your feet placed firmly on the floor. Now begin to breathe in slowly and deeply through your nose, exhaling with equal depth also through your nose. When you feel as though you've settled into a calm, centered, and relaxed state, bring into your awareness the areas of health you would like to transform. Imagine your highest vision for your health as if it has already happened and you are presently living in this energy. For example, how do you look? How do you feel? What are you doing? What is happening around you? And who is there with you? What are some of the daily practices to keep you anchored in this ideal vision? Make the vision as compelling and as real as possible. Your vision isn't something that needs to be created. It already exists within you. You just need to access it. When you have spent some time breathing into the beingness of living in your vision, next ask your higher self, God, the universe, or your intuition, whichever feels most appropriate for you, to show you a goal or a few goals that you will need to achieve in order to fully step into this vision of your life. Think of your goals as milestones along your path. What do you need to produce or gain in order to reach your ultimate ideal health? Now once again, breathe in slowly and deeply through your nose, exhaling with equal depth also through your nose. Feel calmness in the breath. Feel ease and steadiness. And when you are ready, open your eyes.
Welcome back to today's session. I hope you really enjoyed that guided meditation, few minutes to think about what good health could look like to you. I myself actually do that exercise with myself frequently, perhaps once a month, just to check in with myself and make sure that I am still working towards the same goals, or if I need to adapt or adjust anything. So you are more than welcome to keep doing it every month just to check in back with yourself. Now, once you've defined your health goals, I want to talk to you about what good nutrition looks like. And if you are someone who have heard of or who have tried things like keto, intermittent fasting, I would like to politely ask you to throw that all out of the window today. I will go over some basics around nutrition, but I would rather spend the time talking about the how-to rather than what to eat. Now, basics time. So all of our food have macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are things like our carbs, proteins, and fats, which we need in relatively large quantities. And micronutrients are our vitamins and minerals, which we only need in very small quantities. But let's begin by not polarizing any of these nutrients. I always tell my clients and my friends and family that unless you are eating actual poison, food should not be classified as good or bad. All of our macronutrients, including our carbs, proteins, and fats, can be both good and bad, depending on how you're eating it and how much you're eating it, as well as our vitamins and minerals. As you know, things like vitamin A, that can be too much of a good thing. But at the same time, there could be things like vitamin D that are essential to us, especially for those who live in countries without a lot of sunshine. Now, let me give you an example. A piece of salmon could be a very good source of proteins and healthy fats for us, especially for things like omega-3. But on the other hand, bacon, technically speaking, is also a source of protein and fats. But I'm sure you can already guess that bacon is completely not on the same level as a piece of salmon. Having said that, there are things that I consider to be bottom lines. For example, sugar, right? Too much sugar is not going to be good for anyone. Now, a simple explanation for that is that our bodies are very clever machines. They tell us what we need, and they also have a lot of pretty much automated reactions. So when we eat foods with a lot of sugar, our body tells us, wait, you've got too much blood glucose now flying around, so let's pump out more insulin to deal with it. So that means when you eat something that's very high in sugar, your insulin levels also goes up, right, to deal with this glucose. And once it deals with it, glucose falls back down. And this is what a lot of people experience as the afternoon slump or a sugar crash. And also insulin on its own is a fat storage hormone. It basically helps us transport fats between cells. So allowing your insulin to keep spiking as a result of eating very sugary foods is not going to be good for us in the long term. And needless to say, other things like, all the chemicals and artificial flavorings, all of these things are also not that great for our bodies. Okay, now back to you. So a question that you might be thinking now, and a question that I get asked a lot from my clients is, so what am I allowed to eat? Now, again, politely, please throw that question out the window. I am not here, or actually nobody is here to allow you or to forbid you from eating anything, because that is not a good mindset to be having constantly. Instead, I want to tell you a few scenarios. I want you to imagine a few scenarios, and then we can have a think about the whole idea of what good nutrition looks like. Now imagine you've got a car, right? You've just parked it in your garage or in your parking space outside your house, whatever. You know that you're not going to need it until maybe after the weekend. you look at the fuel gauge and you notice that it's still got about maybe 60% or 2/3 full. Would you go and randomly fill up the tank knowing that you don't need it for a couple of days? Now, okay, scenario 2. So you get up in the morning, you get to your car, and you notice that your fuel gauge is about maybe only about a quarter full. And you know that you're about to drive somewhere really far away, and a quarter tank is not going to get you there. So what do? You go fill up the tank, right? Before the journey. You can't fill it up after the fact, after you've got to the destination, because your car will just break down. Now, scenario 3. You get to the petrol station. You normally fill your car with, top quality petrol, but you saw a sign, right, that says diesel fuel 50% off today. Will you go fill your car with diesel when normally you use petrol? If we use the same 3 scenarios to explain good nutrition, it's actually very simple. The main job of food is to nourish our bodies and to prepare our bodies for activities that we have in our lives. It should not be just about, visually how attractive the food looks, how nice it smells, because that's what media and social media has been feeding us all these years, right? That there's a term food porn, right? It's got to the point where food is this sensory attack that we feel like even if we're not hungry, we should eat something that looks nice. Now, in scenario 1, if you knew that your car wasn't really needed for another few days, and the fuel gauge shows you that it's still got 2/3 of a tank, you probably wouldn't randomly drive to the petrol station just to fill it up for the sake of it. Now, this is where I explain to my clients, there is no magical hour after which anything you eat turns into fat, right? You've heard of people saying don't eat after 8, don't eat after 9, or maybe don't eat a few hours before sleep. Instead of using these arbitrary made-up hours to think about this, think of your car, right? Think of your body. If you're about to go to sleep, or you've already finished your day and you're just chilling at home, relaxing, resting, and you don't need to do anything really active until you get up in the morning, why would you need to have a snack before going to sleep or in the time between dinner and bedtime? I would challenge you guys to really think about, if you feel snacky, look at what you had at dinner, because chances are your body is just asking for more nutrients that you didn't fully provide during dinner. Now, in scenario 2, putting fuel in your car before a journey, right? It seems so straightforward when you think about a car and driving and filling it with petrol. This is why food should not be treated as a reward or a punishment for us. A lot of us, especially those who work full-time or, is busy during all hours during the day, it's very easy for us to think about, oh, it's dinner time, I'm going to reward myself because I've had such a long day. That completely counters any logic, really, because what we should be doing with food is to prepare our body for what we're about to do. So for people who like working out, completely okay if you feel like you have to have a light meal before working out. And also, generally speaking, it's a good idea to have something small after a workout to give your body the energy to repair. But to reward yourself with a huge meal at the end of the long day actually doesn't serve your body, right? You should be having a meal before the day. So having a good breakfast, for example, if you have important meetings where you need a lot of brain capacity, or if you're taking your kids out on the safari for the whole day, you want to make sure that everybody involved has had good meals before going as well as during, instead of filling your body with food afterwards. Now, the third scenario, I think this is probably the easiest for people to understand, right? You would not put diesel into a petrol car. because your car will simply not work. Now, I want you guys to think about food as fuel. And if your body actually needs a whole array of nutrients to function well, both physically and mentally, don't let junk food and things that don't have that nutritional value become part of your main meals. There is a time and place, trust me, for tasty foods that have no nutritional value, right? I personally love to cook. I'm a huge foodie. And also at things like game events, sports events, have that hot dog, have that corn dog or hamburger or whatever your favorite is, have that soft drink. As long as you understand that those things should not be part of your main diet. One of my favorite quotes from the author James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, which, by the way, if you haven't, you should read, is that success is a product of daily habits, not the result of a once-in-a-lifetime transformation. Now, I bring this up because you see and hear a lot of the times, right? People have miraculous body transformations. But what you don't see is 5 years, 10 years, 15 years after that drastic transformation, how they're doing, right? And it's easy to just look at that before and after picture in that snapshot and think, right, this person is set for life. They will never have cravings again. They will never fall back into bad eating habits again. But that's not true, because even for someone like me, right, who's been doing this with my own body for 6 years, I have ups and downs, right? I have months and months where I feel very on top of my habits. I feel that I am really honoring food, honoring my body in its relationship. But there are obviously moments where, you know, I'm extremely tired, stressed, or busy, or just busy having fun, where some of these slip. So it's really important to have a pretty robust framework of trustworthy habits that we can fall back to instead of letting our circumstances guide us. Now, remember those health goals you wrote down earlier. Now, I want to invite you to take a look at them now and start thinking about 2 to 3 habits that could help you achieve that goal in the long term. Now, it's completely okay if across your 3 to 5 health goals, you have habits that duplicate across them, right? Which is even better, because you'll be killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So let me give you an example while you start thinking about that. One of my clients, Christina, so she is a busy lady with 2 teenage kids and a husband, and they're a pretty active family, right? They have lots of activities all the time. She's at work all day. And when we first started working together on her health goals, it was clear that, yes, ultimately the goal is to lose weight, and she wanted to fit into this dress for her daughter's graduation that she had bought a while ago. Now, while all of that's really good, she felt quite stressed that she just didn't have time for the movement element of her program, right? Because she was busy and she already didn't have a lot of time to cook, to clean, to take care of the household, on top of her own pursuits. So what we started with was to build in just 5 minutes of movement every day. And this really helped her build the confidence that she could take time out. It does take planning, but starting with 5 minutes, she eventually built out to joining a Pilates class 3 times a week. So it's always a gradual process, if you see what I mean. It's not about, I've never worked out before, suddenly I have to hit the gym 5 days a week. It's building these tiny, tiny little habits that incrementally will help you build bigger habits and lead to some lifestyle changes to support your health goals. For you, it could be something as simple as making sure you're drinking enough water every day, or going to bed at the same time every day. I know that's a tricky one for a lot of people. Okay, so take out that pen and paper again. Be creative. Don't be afraid to start small. Everything starts somewhere. and spend the next few minutes thinking about 2 to 3 mini habits that could support you in reaching the health goals you define for yourself. Now, in this last section, I want to answer a lot of people's questions about, so where do I even start? Now, the habits you've written down, keep them aside, we'll come back to them later. But I want to first talk you through 5 actionable steps you can try after listening to my session today. Number 1 is a bit of a whopper for a lot of people, is around coffee and energy drinks. Now, I personally don't enjoy coffee, but I do understand and respect that a lot of people watching this enjoy coffee, and that's completely okay. But I just want to remind you guys that caffeine itself is a stimulant, right? Just like caffeine you find in other energy drinks. And sometimes it's easy for our bodies to, I guess, falsely believe that we have energy and therefore we don't need food to nourish us, when actually caffeine as a stimulant, right, provides no other nutritional value, and really is quite short-lived. And it doesn't really matter if you tell me that, oh, but caffeine doesn't affect me, I can still sleep. There are a lot of things that are happening inside your body in the long term, right? Maybe not in 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, maybe talking about in 10 years, right? That these stimulants will have an effect on your body. So the number 1 actionable step I want to invite you guys to do really is to pick a day in the week, maybe a Sunday or maybe a quieter day for yourself. Try not having your usual cup of coffee, right? If you have multiple cups a day, maybe try cutting that down by half. Really let your brain reconnect with your body, right? Without the interference of any stimulants, and really figure out, can you nutritionally fill that energy void without relying on caffeine? I think there is no need to completely cut coffee out of your diet. I just want to encourage everybody to not rely on it as an energy source, but enjoy it as a treat. Enjoy it as something that you like having, not something that you need to have. So my second actionable step is to learn to plan. Now, I know that sounds daunting to a lot of people who are not used to planning, but I promise you it will make your life so much easier. Now, when planning food, what I usually do is I will sit down on a Sunday and plan out all my meals for the following week, or whatever suits your grocery shopping rhythm. Now, a few benefits from this, right? So when I'm having a busy day, now that I have my own homemade menu on the fridge, I don't need to think about what am I going to eat? Do I have the right ingredients? What do I want to eat? And I just have it right there and I just make it and then I can get back to my day. And also what I find is that when I plan something, it means that I'm less likely to just pop down to the shop and get whatever's on offer and then end up having too much food or the wrong ingredients. Now, the other thing I really encourage people to plan is planning to rest. I know that sounds a bit silly and it sounds a bit unnecessary, but trust me, with the pace that we are going at right now and with everything that's going on, it's so easy to deprioritize time to rest. It could look like planning 15 minutes to do something completely different. Go make yourself a tea, a coffee, get a drink of water. Or it could mean during lunchtime, actually plan a lunch for yourself. So have your lunch away from your devices. Maybe change your scenario. Go out of your house. Go for a walk. I think a lot of the times in modern life anyway, we often prioritize productivity and we prioritize other people before ourselves. So I would really encourage you guys to plan your food and to plan for some me time to rest and recover from the day. So number 3 on my actionable steps is to find your non-negotiable. Now, this is a super, super fun task, I think, for everybody. What I mean by a non-negotiable is something that you commit to do every single day, no matter what. So for me, that looks like having a bath in the evening before I go to sleep. That to me is completely non-negotiable, unless, of course, I'm traveling and staying somewhere where there isn't a bath. And the reason for that is that it really gives you some structure. And it almost gives you that safe space to be by yourself, to do something that is truly, totally holy for yourself. So I would really encourage you to find a wellness practice that is non-negotiable to you. So number 4 is to focus on whole foods, real foods that exist in nature. This is the number 1 principle with my practice with my clients, which is to only eat foods that exist in nature. Like I mentioned before, there is a time and a place for the hot dogs, for the snacks, for the popcorn, for the soft drinks. Just don't let that take the main stage in your diet. Now, the last actionable step I have for you guys is to learn to listen to your body. Our bodies are extremely intelligent and complex systems that have its own messaging system to tell us if anything's going wrong. So with that, the actual task I encourage all of you to try is to keep a food diary. So as simple as taking a picture of everything you're eating and thinking about how you feel before and after eating. This could be your mood, physical symptoms, for example, your bowel movements. Have you got a headache? How does your gut feel? How do your muscles feel? How does your brain feel? Because when our bodies encounter problems, right, this is when it will send signals to you. If something's itchy, it could be some kind of allergic reaction. If something's hurting, pain is actually one of the key messages our bodies give us. So I would really encourage you to start, getting in the zone with your body, feeling your body and really listening to what it's trying to tell you instead of reaching for the quickest solutions. So an example I always give my clients is when you keep reaching for your chapstick because you have dry lips, maybe take a step back and figure out, have you been drinking enough water, or what else could be causing dry lips instead of putting lip balm on it, because that is really just putting a band-aid on something. So once again, the last tip, instead of just following what people are saying on Instagram or in media of what you should be eating, what you shouldn't be eating, is to really start listening to your body, using your intuition, because your body already knows what you need. Now, I invite you to pick 3 mini habits that you wrote and 2 of my actionable steps and start implementing them next week. I'm pretty sure that if you follow through and commit to these little changes, you will see improvements very quickly. Now, let me leave you with one last closing thought. Your health is your relationship with yourself and not anybody else. So don't pay too much attention to what media and social media tells you, what is trendy, what is fashionable to do. Instead, learn to reconnect with yourself, your mind, body, and soul, because they are there to tell you what you need and what you need to be doing to support your lifestyle. Gain that confidence, learn to trust your own body. If you feel inspired to learn more about health and nutrition, I have a podcast called Neighborhood Nutritionist, and this is available on all major podcast platforms. If you want to work directly with me on your health goals, you can find me on Instagram at notadiet_UK, and you can also email me directly at janicelownutrition@gmail.com, again quoting this conference so I know where we met. Lastly, I want to say a big thank you to all of you for staying to the end of the session with me, and I wish you all the best on your wellness journey. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the events at this amazing wellness lifestyle conference.